Are you guys ready to budget out January of 2022? I am. Hi everyone, my name is Jackie and we are enjoying life's journey. Welcome to the channel. We like to share our real household numbers with you on our budgets, so hopefully you can get an idea of how we're managing to get ahead in our finances using a zero-based budget. I do have this template for sale on Etsy. The link is down below, and I have another video, a tutorial video if you will, showing you exactly how to use it. But today you'll get an idea of how I use it. So we like to budget out an entire year, which we've already done, and then we go through on a monthly basis and we budget out each individual paycheck. And then every week we go through and update the numbers based on what was actually earned or spent. So our budget then starts to become more of a tracker, if you will. But let's go ahead and jump on my Excel sheet and we're going to get to January. Like I mentioned, we have the yearly budget. So when you're first using this template, the first thing you're going to do is make sure you budget within the yearly tabs here on the bottom, the 2022 tab, and you're going to budget out all of the money that's coming into your house, whether it's from income or giving or gifts or anything else that you might have. You can rename these whatever you want to name them. These are basically what we have in our household, and then we're going to go through and start telling everything where to go. So I've already budgeted everything on my yearly template, and it's going to auto populate to my monthly template. So let's jump on to the January tab. So now we're in January 2022, the tab here. When you first come onto here, you're going to see your numbers populated over, but you're going to see up here it's going to just say paycheck. So you want to go ahead and put in the dates of your paycheck. I gave 5 columns. That way, if you are like us and you get paid every Friday, sometimes you're going to have 5 paychecks. If you only get paid every other week, then you can simply leave the rest of these blank and just put in the times that you get paid. If you have multiple people working and they get paid on different days, you're just going to do your best to line them up with whatever week they would fall close together. So think of it as like a weekly budget. So for instance, if Ricky got paid on the 7th and the 14th, let's say I got paid on the 10th, then I would actually line up what I got paid next to the 14th to have that money go with that paycheck. Okay. One thing that I love about using a paycheck budget is this is where you're going to start getting ahead on your bills. So we have gradually started pushing and getting ahead. So most of the bills you'll see on my January budget are actually for February's bills. Okay, so this way we're getting ahead. It took us a while to do it. It didn't happen overnight, but it can be done. What you're also going to notice on the side here is these formulas are going to look like just a bunch of numbers and letters, right? Once you start plugging in numbers in your week, it's going to start calculating the percent of your paycheck. So if you want to keep track of, let's say how much of your house, what percent of your house is taking up in your bills, you can calculate that. I also have on the side here things that you can rename if you want to keep track of your bank accounts or your investments, anything that you want to keep track of where the money is. Okay, so those are great resources for you guys if you want to use those. Okay, so to start off in January, again, Ricky gets paid on Fridays, so we have the 7th, the 14th, the 21st, and the 28th. So the first thing I'm going to do is plug in what his weekly pay would be, his regular pay with just without the overtime. Let me grab my calculator real quick. So currently it's the $26.10. February, this will be going up to about $27.50. So I'm just gonna say times 40. So that is 1,044, and that's gonna be the same for each paycheck. That's his base time. The next thing I do is I open these up. So I'm gonna left click and highlight these, and I'm gonna use my paint bucket and we're gonna say no fill. So that's what we have going on. So you can see now my number is actually matching what I had budgeted. Okay, as numbers go through on the month, these numbers will be changing. I'm not going to change my budgeted number moving forward. If I really feel I need to change it before I get going on the month, I'll go back to the yearly budget and I would change it here. Otherwise, if I change it here, it's not going to repopulate back to the yearly budget. The other reason I leave this one alone once I start actually getting into the month is I like to compare it. So I can go back and say, okay, I budgeted this, but we actually spent or we actually earned this. Okay. The next one is his overtime. We're estimating 8 hours a week of overtime in the yearly budget, but for the monthly budget, I don't like to put it in there quite yet until he's kind of worked on it. So I know for the 7th, they're gonna have about 6 hours of overtime just because of the holiday. So about 234. Okay. I'm gonna leave the rest of this blank for now until we get to that as he's doing it. My self-employment, I usually get paid with Amazon and all of that I usually get paid with YouTube and everything around the 22nd. So I'm gonna go ahead and line it up with the 21st. It's pretty close, and say we're getting that paid there. Cash back on Discover we get on the 6th, so I'm gonna line it up with the 7th. Our interest in our bank account is like the 26th, so I'm gonna line it up with the 28th. So this is exactly what you can do. If you want to get on your budget template and do this along with me, then go ahead. So this reimbursement, this is my health reimbursement. It was due in October of last year, but I'm not getting it till January. I'm going to go ahead and put it at the end of the month just because we don't really know exactly when we're going to get it. So basically, if it's not in this first paycheck, then Ricky can reach out to his HR and say, hey, just a reminder. So by the end of the month, we should have it. So now we have our income, what we're estimating without all the overtime for now. So then the next thing we're going to do is I actually want to put my formulas back in here for calculating our percents automatically for me. So we're doing 8% into the 401k portion of his retirement. So I want to go ahead and recalculate. I want to calculate this. So what I do is, so this would be the equal sign. So this is, if you guys want to do this yourself, you can. Otherwise, if you want me to do it for you, then you can always purchase the template along with the meeting with me. So then we highlight this one is what we want. We're going to do the plus sign, and we do his, and then the bracket, and then you have to do an asterisk, and then what percent. So I'm going to say 8%, and if I hit enter, it's going to calculate that for me for this particular paycheck. Then to make this formula go across the board, I'm going to use this little green square. I'm going to left click and hold, and I'm going to drag it over to the side. So it's automatically going to populate that 8% just from his income and overtime, not from the rest of our money on here. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up with the no fill. Now, when we get these health bonuses, though, we do get taxed, and I do think some of that goes into the 401k. So those, I will just manually update that number at that time. Long-term savings, this is us, we're paying back our savings from last year because we overspent on vacation and Christmas. So we're going to be paying that back, but this most likely will be paid back towards the end of the month once all the bills are covered. So I'm going to wait for that. This ESOP or ESOP, this is part of Ricky's 401k as well, but it is separated on his check. This is his employer stock. So we're doing 2% currently for that one. So I want to do that same thing, that formula. So equals our little bracket, highlight that one, plus highlight the second one, bracket, asterisk, 2%, enter. Okay, so about 25 in there. Again, we're going to take our lower bottom square, left click, drag it over, and then I'm going to open these up with my thing. Okay, so obviously this looks like less, right, than what we originally budgeted because we don't have the overtime yet. So again, we'll come back to that. So 50 for gift money. We want to just start getting some money in our savings for upcoming birthdays and things like that. So we're going to come back. We don't know which paycheck we want to put that in yet. The other thing I already have calculated using kind of that same technique are my taxes percent. So I have 2% being calculated for taxes, for federal tax, 1.3% for Arizona State, 1.45% for Medicare, and then 6.2% for Social Security. So all I'm going to do is open these up with my paint bucket. Again, it's going to look like less until we have that overtime. Same thing, his disability is 0.36%, so I have that automatically populating. Now the life insurance for us is $5.59 per paycheck. And every Thursday we get my husband's pay stub. So that's when I log on and I look to see, okay, how much came out for the taxes, did anything change from what I estimated, and I update it at that point. So join me every Friday, we'll go through each paycheck together. Health insurance, it's $87.80 a paycheck. Okay, so $351 and open up. Okay, so our mortgage is $1,435.96. We're going to come back to that. We want to focus on, the first thing I do is focus on stuff that are going to have a certain amount out of each paycheck. Okay, so we're going to do $120 a week for groceries. So we have $480. And then our gas, we were doing $90 a week. So we're going to open this up and do $90 a week. Okay. And then our eating out, we were doing $30 a week. Also, if you want to change the names, your source names, you're going to want to do that in the yearly budget because that will auto-populate on each month as well. So I encourage you to make sure you're keeping the same line item in the same spot, that you're not trying to change it halfway through. So for instance, if I have this as events right now, I don't want to change this to something later if it's going to mess up any of my number tracking or, you know, things that help you during tax time. Okay, so now let's take a look at the bottom. So you can see here each paycheck how much money I'm working with. So the first thing I like to do out of this first paycheck, now that I have the stuff that we have a certain amount every week already put out, then we're going to go through and I'm going to start focusing on some of the bills that are due at the beginning of the month. So first thing, I come up here. Now I have our due dates written next to the name as well, but I also have them on the side here, and it tells me what bank or what account it comes out of. So you can do it however you want. So we have our mortgage is due on the 1st, but this is a big amount. So usually we have this coming out of lesser paychecks, if you will. Our electric is due on the 1st, so I want to make sure I get that money put aside. So that's $60. And this again is for the 1st of next month. So this money will sit in the savings account until the week before it's due, and then I will pull it out. Or you can just leave it in your checking account where it's automatically coming out of there. Okay. The next one that's due on the 1st, we have our truck, and actually the teardrop I have coming out. Let me put that on here. Teardrop I want to add on here to the 1st. Okay. Now the teardrop's actually due, the truck's due on the 21st, but I have it coming out of the 1st. I like to just have everything come out sooner than, you know, if I can. So we're going to do the teardrop payment out of that one. We also have the Geico or insurance comes out. So let's see how much we have left. If we have enough, we do have enough. Okay, so we can do our insurance. Because the thing is, the car payment or the truck payment, we're not going to have enough out of that paycheck. We're going to have $303.55. So $303.55. So the rest of that truck payment needs to come from the second paycheck. So we don't pay $303 to the truck payment on that week. We wait, and we're just having that money in the bank. I hope that makes sense to you guys. So we need $591.97, and we have $303.55. We need $288.42 out of the next paycheck. So now this is in the bank at least 2 weeks before, or 2 weeks or more before it's due. Okay, so we're just trying to get ahead of those bills. So Netflix, Prime is on the 16th and Netflix is the 26th. We'll just get that money put in there. And then we have Laser on the 5th. So you notice I'm doing the smaller bills before the mortgage just because of the way it works for me. And then up here, we have solar is due on the 7th. Water, sewer, trash is on the 10th, and then our cell phones are the 16th. So now we're negative here. So we got to take out we'll do we could actually probably do this one, because again we're getting ahead. Okay, so let's see if we need 29.49 minus 266, so 26. Okay. So you notice now we have 0, 0, right? So we're starting to tell all the money where to go. All the bills are covered. Now it's time to do the mortgage. So the mortgage, I pretty much just have the money ahead, only like a few days to a week ahead. It's not a full month. So that might be something we work on this year to try to get even further ahead on that. So 426.13. So we need 1435.96 minus. So we need 1,000. Okay, so again, because we don't have the overtime, we're not calculating the overtime right now, it looks like we're cutting it really close on our bills. But we know, hey, we're still going to have the money in time, right? But if we end up having overtime on these months, then this mortgage payment will be in the bank sooner, if that makes sense. Okay. Now, if we look here, we have negative. We wouldn't be putting any in giving or long-term savings, right? And even these would be, we might have to lower our eating. We might not be able to eat out, or we might need to lower our grocery budget, right? So that's something for me to take note of. But let's just, if we end up having that overtime, we'll be fine. Or if we don't have the overtime, like I said, we got to cut out eating out, or we got to lower our grocery budget, or we take money out of savings. So that kind of gives you a heads up of, hey, what's going on. The other thing to keep in mind, again, is we're already a month ahead on some of these bills. So I could even push these a little bit farther if I really needed to. But that's where we're at as of right now. So you have to join me each week and we'll see how things actually play out. So obviously, if we don't have a bunch of overtime, we're cutting it really close with some of our spending, right? So we'll have to reassess how that ends up turning out. Now that the holidays are pretty much over, they'll start picking up again when they're getting really close to finishing a project. They might bust out a bunch of overtime real quick to get it finished, or he might have another month with no overtime. So we really don't know yet. We'll have to see. But I'd rather budget it without the overtime to really see what would happen if we didn't have it, because we don't want to always be relying on that. We want to try to use that as extra money, to that momentum to get ahead is really what we want to be able to do. But thanks for joining me for the monthly budget for January 22. Join me again every single Friday. We're going to be budgeting out every paycheck, and we'll see what changes or what we end up spending every week to see if we can stay within budget. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye.